Hey everyone, this is Mike from You'll Probably Agree, and today I want to give you a little bit of background about what I uploaded. There was a lot of material that I originally filmed when I started the show, and when I first started the show back in 2013, I didn't really know what I was doing at all. I was a big fan of Red Letter Media and Nostalgia Critic, as you can see over there. And I kind of wanted to do something that sort of combined those two together into my own thing. And I also was very inspired by the Chicago sports writers. Although I wasn't really into sports, I love the format of that show of people sort of sitting around a table and talking about sports, while they're having cigars and stuff like that. So I decided, the thing that really brings people together are bars. And a lot of times when we're at bars, we'll get some drinks in ourselves and we'll talk about movies. And that's kind of how the idea of the show came about. So I grabbed one of my friends who was writing for the scorecardreview.com at the day, Nick Allen, who is now a writer for RogerEbert.com. And I do some occasional assistance on my own on Ebert.com. And I grabbed him. I grabbed one of my friends from my Second City class at the time where I was doing all the improv stuff, Heather McLaren, and then another person from my class, Brendan Smith, or as we called him, BS, or as he wanted to be called that. And we just kind of did this show together. And in the video you're going to see, this was filmed right before Halloween, and Brendan, a lot of times, things happened, he couldn't show up, so I kind of did this whole joke where I had like a doll that was in place of him, and I kind of dumped it on everyone as a surprise joke, and of course, like, nobody got what the hell I was doing, and back then, when I look at the footage of myself, I just cringe at how obnoxious I was. And I have to say though, like, with some of the stuff I did, I'm shocked with how I pulled that, how I even managed to try to do that show. I filmed with like three DSLR cameras. A lot of them were the same, and the problem with DSLRs is that they cut off after about 12 minutes of roll time. I think it changed these days. I don't use them as much now. I just got myself am getting myself a Blackmagic camera, and I'm excited for that. But having said that, these cameras were cut off every 12 minutes, and I'd always grab someone. In this case, I think this guy's name was Houston. I think I found him like Craigslist or something, and he agreed to do it. And he was an amazing, sweet guy, and he shot the videos for us. And then later down the road, I had some friends who I worked on movie sets together with who would shoot the show for me, and sometimes I would get someone who could shoot it and do sound. Sometimes I would shoot and do the sound and host and do everything at the same time while also watching out for the 12-minute mark. So we try to fit in reviews like before 12 minutes, and it was like, let's go. And I guess that was sort of in the spirit of, Siskel and Ebert. And back then also with these videos, we didn't have these little mics like I had here, these little lavalier mics. It's the kind you see like a newscaster wear. And these mics will zero out a lot of audio. So if you got background audio, especially if you're filming in a bar, you hear a lot of noise. We just have one of those shotgun mics, where you see the guys like holding the pole above somebody on a movie set. We had that, and we captured what we could with it. So the sound in this episode is not so great. It was as good as we could get it, and we just worked with what we had. And with that, we filmed an episode, and I guess when I put together these episodes, I edited it on a computer that couldn't handle 3 cameras at a time. It couldn't do the multi-cam editing thing. Like now, my computer's faster. I can hit camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and edit it within seconds. And back then, if I had to edit something, it would take ages to switch between each camera. Anyone who's done nonlinear editing would know that, you know, imagine if you're on the timeline, you have to cut one part of the timeline and then go back and then put another part in. You have to go back and forth every time you want to cut to someone's reaction. It was a nightmare to do. So I ultimately, for the sake of time purposes, just couldn't put together all the reviews I wanted, which to the inconvenience of a lot of my co-hosts, which I completely understood, especially now watching it, you know, we couldn't put in. But luckily, you know, I kept that footage all the way from 2013 to today, and I wasn't able to upload something last week because we kind of had a little election, and I was extremely busy with that election, calling voters, and then after that, just celebrating and then kind of unwinding, and I kind of took a much needed mental break from it. But I came back and I decided, you know what, I should finally do something with some of this footage. So this is the review I did for Halloween, and with this, there's a video of our favorite Halloween films. But before we did our favorite Halloween films, which I actually did edit and put in the video, which you'll see at the end of the video, we filmed reviews for 3 separate movies, 3 of which I didn't even remember came out. They were very forgettable films. But you know what? This is great publicity for those movies if anyone wants to check them out of curiosity now. And those films are, I think it went the remake of Carrie in 2013 with Chloe Grace Moretz and Julianne Andrews playing her crazy mother. Escape Plan with Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger. And the third one was, I didn't see it, but Nick and Heather did, was The Fifth Estate about Julian Assange. You know, before we knew that a movie made about Julian Assange depicting him, I think, as a sort of hero, when, you know, we now found out, as Heather actually pointed out in her analysis, very very intellectually, that this film was made a little too soon. And now that we found out what Julian Assange was really like, you know, letting his fingernails grow and sort of becoming a Howard Hughes type of figure, you know, I think he was like throwing feces at the wall at some point or something. I could be wrong, but he was nuts. You know, they weren't a fan of that film. So I hope you enjoy these segments. It was kind of the idea I always wanted for the show in a way, where people would talk about movies, and then, you know, we show the trailer, we'd have sort of like an uncut discussion going between the cameras, between everyone, and then we go to trailer for the next film. And hopefully one day when this pandemic ends, I can actually go back to making the show the way I always wanted to. And in the meantime, I'm just kind of Zooming people online. But we have been able to get far more in depth with movies than we did before, where they just kind of felt like these standard conversations. And I feel like I really grew a lot since then. So I hope you enjoy what I put together here. And see you later. I don't really have much of an outro. Thanks a lot. Hello and happy Halloween!
Almost.
Happy near Halloween! We are at the Halstead Harbor. You get to drink and have a good time. Over with me is Nick Allen from ScorecardReview.com. I'm Mike Crowley. This is Heather McLaren, and the soul of Ken Griffey Jr. has taken over BS and turned him into this evil doll.
All right, that sounds
You'll
like a totally
probably
viable
agree.
reason. Yeah. It's completely also happening right now. All right.
Speaking of possessed souls, let's talk about Carrie.
All right, we'll talk about Carrie.
Ooh.
Good segue. I like that.
Mama, I've been asked to prom. No. They're gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you. Mama, stop it.
Nick, what do you think of Carrie?
Well, you know, there are there are remakes, and then there are bad remakes, and then there are remakes that are made to basically remind people that other movies exist. You know what I mean? Like Straw Dogs, which came out in 2011, and it was like,
I'd already forgotten about that.
no, right, you did.
I
but
did too.
That movie was made because at the time on Netflix, the original was not available. It was on Save, it was on Green or whatever. So I assume that Rod Lurie, that director, made Straw Dogs so that he could remind Netflix to make it available. This is almost the same way. This is kind of like, hey kids, you guys like Hit Girl, and you guys like The Devil, and you guys like violence in schools, even though you don't want to admit it. Here's a Carrie remake that has none of the balls of the original. None of the balls, but also none of the interesting ideas, and it dares to basically take like note for note everything. So if it ain't broken, don't fix it, just take it. And no, that's not a good movie. So fuck you, Carrie, 2013.
Okay.
Honestly, I 100% agree with that. I'm just sitting there in the theater like, what's the point of any of this? There's no way this will make that much money. I really don't think it will make that much money. If I'm wrong, I don't know.
You're not wrong now. Show the box office the weekend. Right in my hand.
Actually, it didn't make that much.
No, I know.
You know, that's my point. I don't understand what the goal is here. Like, it didn't really deviate from the original enough to be unique, but everything that made the original good, specifically, for example, Sissy Spacek.
Yep.
Like, I have nothing against Chloe Moretz. I usually really like her, but she does best when she's playing someone who like is competent and knows what's going on.
Yep.
And that's kind of not who Carrie's supposed to be. You don't buy that she'd be awkward and weird to this extent.
Yep.
And it's just like, why? Why, movie studio? And then Julianne Moore is just being ridiculous. Like, over the top ridiculous, but not... It's like, it's not even...
The devil made her do it.
It's not even enjoyable. It's like, it's just kind of a chore.
You have to watch
As
Carrie.
someone who had to watch Carrie to do this
It
review.
was totally
It
a
was a
chore
chore.
for me.
Hey, it was a chore for me too.
I know.
Mike, what did you think of Carrie?
That's what I thought.
All right.
There you go.
It's very eloquent.
No, Carrie was, it was just another remake that was remade, as Nick said, just so people know the original existed. When you see Chloe Moretz, is that her name?
Chloe
Yeah.
Grace.
Chloe
Grace
Grace
Moretz.
Moretz.
And then there's the umlaut.
Oh,
What?
there is an umlaut. I forgot about the
So we have pronounced umlaut. Chloe umlaut, Grace Moretz.
Okay. Yeah, she was just, I don't know, like when you see her playing someone who's insecure and like, it's like I just don't buy it because she's a great actress, but I just think of her as like Hit Girl when she's like, you cocksucker, and like just
Like,
go around.
usually, yeah, she's very competent. She usually plays a really competent
Yeah.
teenager. And she's good at that.
Yeah.
I would.
So-
And like there was a couple tiny itty bitty little nice changes that I liked, like the whole YouTube thing.
Nope.
Like
Oh,
when,
I didn't like
No.
that.
no, when they pour the blood on her in the end and they show the clip.
No.
That
I mean-
was kind of a nice.
It was
Little
a
touch.
It was a modern touch, but not enough to justify
Yeah,
the
it's just
movie.
it's
I
just
don't
like
know.
when they throw T-ball
No, it doesn't
references
justify
in
it, it's
there
just
and they
nice.
throw cell phones. I would definitely say there's a difference. You watch Spacek in the original Carrie, she looks like an alien. She looks like an outsider. Like even when she gets redone.
Yeah.
The Chloe Grace Moretz says she's all that syndrome. Like as soon as she gets made up for prom, she looks normal, and then you can't really.
Chloe Grace Moretz just looked normal throughout the whole
She's
thing.
a cover girl. I don't think Sissy Spacek was ever on any magazine cover.
See,
Like,
the thing
not that she's ugly or anything, but
No.
she's unusual looking, whereas
Yeah.
Chloe Moretz is very traditionally pretty.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
look, we love you, Sissy Spacek, but I mean the thing is with Sissy Spacek, she kind of looks like she's always on the verge of having a nervous breakdown.
Especially, and well, in that film,
Maybe in Carrie
that
because she
film,
does.
she did.
I mean, she does have a nervous breakdown.
In
And then
Carrie.
she kills a
And
bunch
she
of
kills
people.
all these
and-
people, yeah, it's a thing.
Sorry.
It's
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
But it's more than just that Chloe Moretz is pretty. It's that she's always just so on the ball. You just don't buy that
She's
she
very
would not be able to make
confident.
friends. You don't buy it.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah.
And that's not her fault. It's just...
But her hair is all raggedy, so that must mean that she
It wasn't even raggedy. It was pretty well done. And yeah, I mean Julianne Moore. I mean was
She was
just
good.
Julianne Moore. It
No,
was just
no, but she put in work. I
yeah.
think.
Whatever you
Too
need,
much work. It was a bit
whatever
over
you
the
need
top.
a woman to cry on camera or just
Well,
be
she's a
really
cry.
sad, just get Julianne Moore. outside of that, it was just kind of a forgettable remake. You know, a few years from now, that shit will pop up on HBO, and people go, "Oh yeah, that thing." And that'll be it. That's Carrie.
Just feels
BS.
like a waste of money and effort.
What do you think?
Okay, we're not gonna. Are we really gonna talk?
I'm sorry,
about
we had to make
Nintendo?
adult talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
This
is
is
the
what's going
weirdest
on.
thing in the goddamn
This is
world.
the history you're
I'm so
helping
freaked
make
out by
right
this
now.
doll.
So, trying to escape from one bad movie and going into another one, let's talk about Escape Plan.
Go make some friends. You're gonna need them.
Back away. Who were you before you came in here?
I break out of prisons for a living.
You don't look that smart.
Nick?
Okay. Escape Plan is one of those movies that it's still an action movie, so it's kind of got like a balance of like you can be so dumb and then it'll be like it's fine. This is one of those movies that says like, you know, I'm an action movie, but I'm smart, I'm clever, you know, I do things, and then
Yeah.
it turns out that every moment this movie thinks it's being clever, with its you know elaborate escaping, it's actually just getting dumber and dumber. It is too unfortunate that this is Sylvester Stallone and Schwarzenegger's first movie together. They made jokes about each other in movies
It's not the
before.
first Expendables was.
What?
Expendables was.
Oh, fuck my life. Okay, yeah, before Expendables, you know.
So the
this
first one
is
where
the
they're together
first-
throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing, and there's cameos or whatever. This is the first, like, built from that nostalgia of Expendables.
Yeah.
It's just, it has 50 Cent playing a guy who wears glasses named
Wait.
Hush.
He was a
Really?
computer.
Yeah,
Really?
he's a computer genius named Hush, and
Oh
he
my
wears
god,
glasses.
wait. Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
no, you get excited, but it's really like it's not even like good bad. It's just kind of like, oh, this is kind of boring. It's just kind of boring, and although I like all the religious stuff, there's this really weird thing about religion being freedom, and then Jesus himself, James Caviezel, plays the bad guy, and so that was kind of fun to chew on a little bit. But
I don't think they had Jesus in mind.
no, well, they had there's like a bunch of religious things about like being like he uses the Bible to get out, and another guy he wants to go pray to his God. It's just little things to pick up when you're looking for it, I guess. Anywho, no, in terms of just like action, whatever, and also in terms of prison, not even that interesting to escape from.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the twist. I was not seeing coming. There's a couple twists, whatever. But no, you know, I was fine leaving Escape Plan.
Yeah. You know, Escape Plan.
myself.
I'm gonna be. Hang on. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I was literally falling asleep during Escape Plan.
When were you falling asleep, Michael? Don't ruin it.
Probably about 15 minutes in.
Okay, so that was after 50 Cent had showed up in glasses.
I think so.
That was,
yeah.
that was probably right when he got into the prison, right?
Yeah, it was when he's like, because the thing is, Sylvester Stallone is a guy whose job is to break into, or to go to prisons to break out. He's not actually a criminal. So that's his whole job, and you're just kind of like, why would he do that? That doesn't make any sense.
They literally asked that though. It's like, what kind of man would want to spend half his life in prison or whatever?
Yeah,
they
to
asked
make
that.
up for the shittiness of the idea.
Right, but it's still a dumb movie, so it kind of starts like fine within that like unbelievable bound.
And it's like, look, I'm cool with dumb movies, but they have to work within the context of the story of the dumb movie.
I just think they have to be more exciting. You know, at least like add, you know, like a
Commando's
rocket launcher or something.
Yeah.
You know?
Like Commando's a dumb movie, but
a great-
everything works.
Commando is great.
It's a great movie, but a dumb movie. But
it's
it works
very
within
dumb.
it works within the context of a dumb movie where it's like the guy goes, saves kids, does crazy shit. Now Sylvester Stallone's supposed to be a bad guy in it, but he's killing guards who are just doing their jobs.
Well, they're illegal henchmen, so to speak.
But still,
you know.
he's just killing them. And
And he's not.
I know other movies that go around and kill the bad guys, but they're bad guys. Sure, they didn't really clarify they were bad guys.
Are you like
except for the one English
disagreeing
guard.
with like the moral compass of this movie? or
Yeah,
whatever?
I am partially. The only good part of this movie was Schwarzenegger because he was great at delivering his one-liners, man.
Doesn't sound like a true statement. It's Schwarzenegger we're talking about, really?
Schwarzenegger is goofy.
Yeah, and he gets to
and he
speak
plays-
Austrian in it. In one part.
Yeah, that's a really weird scene. He's like praying and stuff, which is very strange.
That was great. He was finally Arnold speaks Austrian.
German, I think, right?
No, it's Austrian.
Austrian language?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's German.
That would probably be German. Yeah.
That's what I thought. My brother-in-law said people from Austria speak Austrian, and I'm like, no, that's German, you fucking idiot.
Good day, mate.
Yeah. Good day.
Sorry, I made a Dumb and Dumber joke. No, I would say that Schwarzenegger is fine, but it's disappointing to see him as just comic relief, you know? Like, you watch the movie, you want to see some fucking, at least, like, these guys were dying on screen. You can just see them withering away and stuff, which is, you know, it's nostalgia, sure, but I mean, like, you would wish that they would at least kind of go more intense with each other. So they have kind of a few cute scenes, and Sly Stallone tries to come off as smart, because he's always been the thinking man action hero. Yeah. And Stallone's always been the how big can the gun be that I can shoot. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, no, I don't know. I would say this is disappointing and unfortunate that it kind of came out so late.
Yeah, and also, I'm getting uninterested talking about this movie. I'm just doing this now.
So wait, it's not even fun though? Really?
It's not fun though. It's like 2
so
hours long.
Overdone, you know. And he tries to be clever, but it's not. Yeah. They're like, oh, here's a plot twist, and here's what Sly Stallone really does. Here's who Arnold Schwarzenegger really is. It's like, okay, so what? And if I had to see one more shot of the camera going out to reveal the prison, it wasn't cheesy. It wasn't like, oh, haha, funny, cheesy. It was like, are you fucking kidding me, cheesy?
It didn't make me feel nervous about people inside.
No. And
I thought they would escape just fine, without a plan or not.
Yeah, they of course they would escape.
Just walk out.
And Jim Caviezel's whole role was just to like whisper in the film.
I thought he was fine. I liked Jim Caviezel in these kind of weird roles. But you know.
And
fuck my life. You know.
Terrible movie. I was just falling asleep during the whole thing. I think when I was, you know what, I'm just going to go right to it. Nick, would you recommend The Tomb? Oh, I'm sorry, I mean Escape Plan.
Yeah, The Tomb is another religious thing. It's another, okay, anywho. No. I mean, if it's on Redbox, there's a joke, or Netflix or whatever, you know, maybe rent it, and but it's not even entertaining as it's boring. Entertaining as a bad movie. It's just it's about a bunch of slabs of meat kind of slapping into each other, you know, which you can do by watching Rocky when he punches the rock with a bunch of meat.
Exactly. So. I think the thing is, action movies were great the way they were with Sly and Arnold back in the 90s, but we've gone beyond that. And, you know, as bad as action movies are today, at least they try to develop a character and a story, at least most of them do, in some way or another. And this one's trying to harken back to where it's not doing it, but it's past its prime, and it's sad to see a movie like this, and it's boring, and I just would not recommend it. Ugh.
So this isn't even a get drunk with friends, make fun of the movie kind of thing.
You'd fall asleep though.
You fall asleep. It's it's not even so bad it's funny, it's just boring bad.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I mean, both the Expendables hold up. You know, they're both kind of weird, but not
No, the second one.
They're both good.
No, they're not. There, you'll probably agree.
Fuck. I almost said it first.
Your time is up!
You tell whoever put me here, I'm gonna burn this place to the ground.
So, speaking of, I don't have a segue for this.
Fuck my life.
Excuse me.
Well done, guys.
It was great.
Really doing well.
That's going in there.
Shit.
Fifth Estate is a movie.
Fifth Estate. Hey, Heather.
Okay.
Did you see Fifth Estate?
I did.
I did too. Did you like it?
No.
No, it's not a very good movie, is it?
It's kind of super boring.
Yeah, it is kind of boring.
It looked terrible to me.
Well,
I didn't see it.
We're gonna nail those bastards.
Former head of Iceland's biggest bank has been accused of fraud.
We took down $1 billion bank. This is crazy.
Courage is contagious.
It's not a good movie. I would say that Benedict Cumberbatch, whatever. I like Daniel Bruhl. You know, he was trying to get.
Literally 3 weeks ago, I was all like, I'm so excited he's getting more work. And this movie made me be like, well.
This makes me sad he's going to get completely whitewashed out of like American movies.
I know.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he definitely
no, he's
could.
Not.
He's not doing well.
He'll be fine. JJ's got his back.
Anywho, I would say if you like Euro trash clubs, you know, go to one instead of going to this movie to see it. And if
So is it like a giant party movie?
no, it's just a lot of scenes that are Eurotrash. Oh, my favorite part of the movie is that you can almost hear the director being like, okay, I want you to slam the laptop harder and then run. There's a lot of scenes where people are like,
This is totally how
it's
people
really
write
great.
on a computer.
They slap like little seals trying to type or something, you know, and they like go to
Don't type
places.
like humans.
Yeah, they go to Wi-Fi. I don't know. That shit's boring. I mean,
The thing is, there's so many people involved that I really, really like.
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
Daniel Bruhl. I was excited to see Benedict Cumberbatch, Julian Assange.
Sure.
I thought that sounded interesting. I love Laura Linney.
I love Laura Linney.
I love Laura Linney.
Laura Linney, guys. No, but Laura Linney for me has really made the movie obvious. It's like, oh, it's going to be this kind of movie.
Yeah, it's true.
Where she's going to play like all the things, everything's going to be very clear in dialogue, all these things, and they're going to say like, she's like unstoppable or whatever. It's just kind of very, and then at the end, of course, it's a Walt Disney movie that's distributing it, so it's like, okay,
It's like, all right,
that all
so
makes
this
sense.
movie's coming from a place that maybe
Yeah.
is not the most honest of
This
places
is,
to tell
no,
this story.
this is just like a very soft, you know, the corners that are kind of sharp have been kind of trimmed down. It was interesting to see a whole part about editing, like what do you edit when it comes to this kind of information on WikiLeaks, and what do you not.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. So the third act kind of, for me, wasn't that boring. I didn't hate this movie, but I just really wasn't inspired to care about it or to care about Assange or care about WikiLeaks, and it just made him look like a dirty hippie.
It really
You know,
did.
and I don't like dirty
And I
hippie
think
movies. You know?
Julian Assange, I don't know that much about him, but every time I've heard him like interviewed, he's a really, really strange human being. And I
Probably
feel
the most
like
interesting part.
he is, but I feel like the movie. There could be a decent movie made about this man eventually. I think one, it's probably too soon, and two, I don't know. This movie.
Now that brings up a great point when you say too soon, because I notice there's a lot of movies now today where people have to make something about it right away. You know, like 9/11, for example.
Yeah, they made those pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean they made.
1993 came out, and you like that.
No, United 93 was beautiful. That was a respectful, great film. But then they come out with World Trade Center, directed by
It's not the
Oliver
same year?
Stone. Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Came out a few months later. It was directed by Oliver Stone, and it was just a sappy Lifetime movie that was very manipulative, and like you said earlier, extremely loud and incredibly close, extremely loud and incredibly manipulative,
I forgot that I talked about that. Yeah.
which has 9/11 in its plot line, and Reign Over Me had 9/11 in it.
Well, I mean,
That's dealing with a moment. That's dealing. I think it's dealing. That's
But
bigger idea.
there's
That's dealing with an
there's
issue.
still a movie like World Trade
but
Center
here, I
about
think the
that.
issue here. All right, maybe it's not that it's made too soon. Maybe I think that the computer problem you spoke of.
Yeah.
People have a hard time making movies about the internet.
Yeah, and making them interesting.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard translating that to film in a way that makes sense at all. Like The Social Network did it. That's pretty much the only one I can think of.
That was the only one that was brilliant about it. It really defined what's wrong with our generation.
Well, no, I think Social Network is a movie that
Hear that,
you can,
kids?
you can watch Social Network and then you can understand more about what you're doing and so
Yeah.
forth. WikiLeaks is more like, oh, there's this news event, they made it about it, and you know,
Like,
I don't know.
there's a lot to say about
Yeah.
Like-
It's interesting about journalism.
like the right, like traditional journalism, the right that we have to information versus what, like, do we deserve information or do we deserve safety? Like, there's a lot to say. This movie didn't say any of those things.
Not to mention, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
I'm not really.
Not to mention the guy who was the actual WikiLeaker. He trashed this movie.
What, Julian
What,
Assange?
Assange? Yes,
Yeah,
he did.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. It
But
doesn't make him look good.
The movie even tried to beat him to the punch at the very end and tried to have this like snarky, this is not really a spoiler, but it's just kind of like, this is the kind of movie it was, where he was trying to be like hip and up
Like,
to
really
date
clever with
and
it,
ahead, and it
but
was
it
like, we're gonna have
failed.
Benedict Cumberbatch as Assange doing a documentary about a WikiLeaks movie, and then say it's called the anti-WikiLeaks movie. Oh no, he had a fucking Australian accent, I'm sorry. Anywho, yeah. it had-
Something the world should know.
I have
Con.
no idea what that was.
That was
right?
from the trailer.
Okay.
But no,
The
there's-
world deserves to know.
It's just that it was like it tried to be, it wanted to be hip, and I'm sure like maybe if it was done better, but trying to make drama out of computer slapping,
It's hard.
and it's hard, and
And
it's
this
hard,
movie fails.
and it's hard to make geeks interesting too, and that's what this movie is a victim of. Social Network makes it a geek because these geeks are indicative of us and the internet, and
Yes,
Facebook, and so
yes,
forth.
yes, yes.
But well, like, you know, like Mark Zuckerberg's story with what's her face. But this is just kind of like, oh, these just a bunch of Euro nerds that are typing a bunch of gibberish on computers and talking to each other on text and getting angry when they read text or whatever. So
And it's just, so I don't know enough about the WikiLeaks channel to really comment, but I do remember that it was kind of a really, it was fascinating to read about when it first was happening.
Yeah.
And this movie makes it all so dull.
Yeah.
It's kind of incredible.
Yeah.
You're
It
just
is.
like,
I think it
wow.
is incredible. Yeah.
Would you recommend seeing this film?
No, I would recommend seeing it if you really want to and you don't know too much about WikiLeaks, but then you'll look it up later anyways.
Or you could look up about WikiLeaks on Wikipedia.
So, all right, if you were one of two types of people, you should see this movie. One, if you're one of those anonymous types, like not anonymous, anonymous, the hacker group that's obnoxious.
Sure.
If you're one of those types, you'll probably want to see this movie so you can have an opinion about it. The only other reason is if you're one of those crazy Benedict Cumberbatch fangirls on Tumblr and just want to look at him
They
for
call
several
them
hours.
Cumber bitches. That's what he called them, which is kind of funny, but also like seems
Oh, that's
very
terrible.
dangerously
That's
offensive.
kinda terrible.
That's wow.
That's what he called them. That's what
That's
he
a
said.
double pun.
That's what he said.
I love that a little bit. That's awful.
Cumberbatch called his ladies Cumberbitches?
Or just his fans.
Wow, I love this dude now.
Anyway, if you really, really are into this guy, see it. Look at him for 2 hours. It's not his best work, but you enjoy how he looks.
Just see where Wrath of Khan. Oh, I mean Star Trek Into Darkness. Yep. So sounds like it's bad, and I'm probably not going to see it, but I'll see it for you too. BS, we haven't heard from you. What do you think?
God, no, don't talk to the goddamn dog.
That's just you and your ego and the lies you tell to get whatever you want.
This is information the world needs to know.
We need to crush these guys. It's life. Times is life.
Thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click on the videos below if you want to see more shit. And I want to thank Nick Allen from ScorecardReview.com and Heather McLaren. I'm Mike Crawley.
From nothing.
I'm Mike Crawley from Nothing Too. And this is BS,
Oh,
who's been
shit.
possessed with Ken Griffey Jr. Fuck you. Alright. Just bye. Happy Halloween!